Loops are very useful when you're going to be repeating code over and over again to save you from having to do that. Like if we were going to, let's say, print one Mississippi, right? And then we know we go print two Mississippi. So we're doing like a counting program, right? We want it to do all of 10 Mississippis. We would have to do this over and over again, but we can use a loop to do a lot of this work for us. So let's talk about a for loop. For, and we have to give it a name or whatever it's going to be. For loop, we'll just call it loop, or we can call it count in range. And we have to tell it how far we want it to count. Let's say 11. And a for loop has a colon at the end of it. Okay, so now we've created a loop that will count to 11. But when it gets to 11, it stops. It will not execute the 11th time, but it's going to start counting. But this is the important part of how Python counts. Python does not start counting with 1. Python will count with 0, and I'll show you how we know that. Anything inside the loop has to be indented again. So let's just tell it to print the count. And let's see where it starts. Run the program. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. See, it started with 0. The last thing it prints is 10, because as it goes through the loop, it adds 1 to the count each time, or count. And it comes through the first time, the count is 0. So that's what it prints. And it'll keep adding 1 and going back through the loop until it gets to 11. This is the stop value. When you count becomes 11, stop. Don't do the loop anymore. So we can go down here and we unindent. We'll say print the loop ended, just so we can see when it ends. See, now it does that at the bottom. The loop ended. So anything that's indented will be part of the loop. If we indented this by mistake, look here, it's going to print that every time. 0, the loop ended. 1, the loop ended. 2, the loop. So anything in the loop is indented. When you are through with it, the indentation should be the same as the F in for. So print count. So this is really useful. So if we wanted to do that Mississippi thing, let me clear that. We can say print the count plus space Mississippi. But remember, if we're printing a number and a string of letters, we have to tell it, treat the number like it's a string of letters. This will give it an error if it tries to print a number and letters together, unless you use the str command. So don't forget that. But let's try this. Clear, run the program. 0 Mississippi, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, all the way to 10 Mississippi. You're like, well, what if I don't want to start with 0? That's weird. No one starts counting with 0 Mississippis. You're right. So we can tell it start with 1. If we do a 1, 11, now it'll start counting with 1 and it will stop when it gets to 11. So what's this right here? 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, all the way down to 10 Mississippi. Then the loop ended. Like, well, that's pretty cool. Well, other things you can do with it, if we wanted to count by 2s, we could say, okay, go to 21 now and count by 2s. So this says start at 1, stop when you hit 21, and count by 2s. 1 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 7. Maybe we just want to use the even numbers. We want to start with 2. Okay, let's try that then. Clear. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, all the way to 20 Mississippis. See, going by 2s. So you can start with any number you want. You can tell it to end. And notice that it wouldn't have got to 21 because that's the stop value. And count by however many you want. Count by 6s. 2 Mississippi, 8 Mississippi, 14 Mississippi. So that's how a for loop can help repeat these lines of code instead of having to do all of those print statements. We did one print statement and the loop took care of it for us. So, and you can do anything in a loop. You could anything you want to do. If you're doing turtle graphics and you want it to keep drawing the same shape over and over again, you may have had turtle move forward 50, turtle move turn left 10 degrees, and it would just keep doing that over and over again for as many times as your loop runs. So just use loops when there's something you want to do over and over again and don't have to repeat the code. And the for loop is a great way to do that if I know exactly how many times I want it to run. So again, if I want it to run 10 times, or I can start at 1, go to 11, and if I'm counting by ones, I don't have to put that third number on there. But nice, simple for loop.